momentum as a leader, as individuals. You need momentum as an organization, as a family. Momentum is that forward, hopefully it's forward motion in the right direction, forward motion. It is an energy. It is an energy that propels you and thrusts you forward in hopefully the accurate things and the correct things, because momentum can work against you, and that's the last thing you want.
Well, hey there, you're watching What Was That About? Thank you so much for joining us for today's episode. If you are new to our space, my name is Moses Khan. I'm with Dr. Tony Soldano, who is the lead pastor here at All People's Church. How you doing, Pastor?
Hey, I'm doing well. Yourself?
I'm doing great. I'm so excited for today's episode.
Okay.
Because we're taking a leadership focus today.
We love leadership.
We had a core team night, and if you're not familiar with our house and our church, basically it's a night where all of our core team, our volunteers, those who put their hand to the plow, that make what happens here at our church, possible and successful. We just have a night of celebration, getting together, and Dr. Tony has a couple minutes to share some things. And so you shared about navigating momentum.
Yeah.
Navigating momentum. Yeah. And so let's dive into some of the things you mentioned and you talked about, and the importance of that, and what is momentum, why does it need to be navigated in the realm of leadership, because it's so important.
Yeah. John Maxwell calls it in one of his books, the law of the big mo. He calls it an actual law of leadership, and it's actually so important. You need momentum as a leader, as individuals. You need momentum as an organization, as a family. Momentum is that forward, hopefully it's forward motion in the right direction, forward motion. It is an energy. It is an energy that propels you and thrusts you forward in hopefully the accurate things and the correct things, because momentum can work against you, and that's the last thing you want. So when we're talking about momentum, it's like we're gaining traction. Right. We're gaining ground. We're moving. Yeah. We're moving forward towards vision, direction, and that sort of thing. And so we actually use the story of David and Goliath. And by the way, whether you are a Bible person or not, everybody knows that story, and it's a great sports analogy. The underdog, the story of the underdog. Yeah. And so I made this statement. I don't know what you think about this. David killed Goliath with momentum.
Wow.
David killed Goliath.
You'll have to explain that. What do you mean?
Well,
where's the momentum in that story?
The momentum, it is fascinating. First of all, the momentum of the sling and the stone.
Right. So
that
literal
literally created momentum to sling that stone into the forehead of Goliath, which, by the way, didn't kill Goliath.
Right.
But when you look at the big picture, the nation was stuck. Huh. The Philistines are there. The Israelites are there. Yep. They're going to go into war. You have this loudmouth, I think he's about 9'6" individual. Giant. That is just, he's trash talking.
Yeah.
He's cursing God. He's cursing Israel. He's cursing everybody, and basically challenging anybody to come out. So in those days, instead of everybody going to war, you'd have like, hey, send your champion, and winner takes all.
That's it.
Right, winner takes all. And the nation is stuck. They're stagnant until this young man, the Bible calls him a boy, he's probably 17-ish. Yeah. He shows up and he changes the momentum of an entire nation.
Yeah, what a story. So it's not that David won, all of Israel won.
God won.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow, that's powerful. That's so powerful. And I guess you don't tend to think of, hey, this is a story of momentum. Right. You know what I mean? And I could just imagine the victory that came over the nation because David stepped out as a leader. Fascinating.
As a matter of fact, so if we go to the end of the story, when the giant dies, and by the way, the giant is killed because David cuts off his head with his own sword, because David didn't have a sword. All of a sudden, the army just has this euphoric moment of we can win, and we should win, and everything has shifted. And so the Bible says they now pursue. Why do they pursue? Because the Philistines, who were cocky, who were waiting, to devour the nation, if you will, and take over, because Goliath was their champion and nobody would stand up to them. suddenly the momentum they had worked against them. And by the way, momentum can shift just like that,
Wow.
as in this story.
Yeah.
And so they flee, they run.
Yeah.
And then the Israelites go, what? And by the way, in this particular day, they weren't even fully armed people. It wasn't that they were counting on their, military advantage.
Yeah.
Something happened in the atmosphere
Yeah.
that changed everybody.
Wow. Wow. So let's go into some of the things
Yeah.
that you brought up on how to navigate
Right.
momentum.
Yeah. So here's some of the things that I talked about. Number one is so this idea of pursuing, right? So
Yeah.
they began to pursue. Number one, you got to get started. Like just show up, get started. I love what David said. I'm going to take care of this.
Yeah.
I'm going to take care of your problem. People that navigate momentum just get started.
get started.
That's most. They just
That's
go.
so good.
I'm here. I get the assignment. I understand what needs to be done. I get that it's overwhelming.
That's got to be the most
Just
important
get
part.
started.
That's got to be the most important part of momentum. Just get started.
Because we how many people say that? Oh, I need to go to the gym.
Right.
I need to lose weight. I need to stop smoking. Whatever it is
Yeah.
people are doing, right? But they just don't even. They talk.
don't start,
Big
yeah.
talk.
Yeah.
Hey, I should go down to that fight and take care of that giant. But you know what? David showed up and he started.
I love it. Yeah. I love it.
That's
so
a
good.
big guy.
So good.
My second one was pursue at the right pace and in the right direction. So the story tells us that when the rock had sunk into the forehead of the giant, David ran. What do you think about that? David ran. He didn't walk.
Wow.
He didn't go the other way. He ran towards Goliath. He ran towards him.
Yeah, in other words, he didn't give Goliath a chance to get up. He took advantage. He seized the moment. He seized the moment and the opportunity.
He seized the moment.
Yeah.
He seized
Yeah.
the moment.
Wow.
And
That's so good.
yeah.
That's so good. Which tells me that there's moments where, hey, you can afford to move slowly, but then there's moments where you can't afford to move slowly. You got to go after this thing.
Right.
Yeah, that's so good.
Right. My third one was pursue, not just, people talk about small wins. I had said pursue significant wins. So what do I mean? Well, before David arrived here,
Yeah.
he talked about killing a lion and a bear
Right.
in the middle of the wilderness
Yeah, yeah.
because he's a shepherd
He's a
when no
shepherd.
one else is around. And he drew on that. He drew on his significant wins
Yeah.
that were going to now contribute to the momentum that it took to kill this
That's interesting because
beast of a man.
I always hear, hey, focus on the small wins, the small victories, the little things.
right.
You're saying, no, the significant ones
Yeah.
are important.
I mean, victory is victory, but when you have significant wins
Yeah.
that are relating to the momentum that you're trying to either create or ignite
Right.
or be part of,
Yeah.
that's huge.
Yeah.
That's huge.
Very good.
For us, we just had a recent victory
Right. Yeah.
in parking.
Yeah.
We solved our parking issue that has been a problem. That's a significant win.
Significant win, yeah.
That wasn't just like, hey, does anybody have water? No,
Right.
that was a significant win,
Yeah.
right? Number four, I call it pursue the part. And what I mean by that is David couldn't take on Saul's armor.
Right.
He needed to pursue his own part. And what did that mean? That mean for him, it meant the sling, the stones. He went down to the river. It was what he knew, what he had practiced. And so here I use illustrations like, if you're going to the gym, like feel the part, like get the right shoes. And I know this is a big part of, you're a bit of a brand guy. You're a bit of I want to feel the part even when you speak publicly, right?
Yeah,
Tell
yeah.
us a little bit about what goes through your mind in order to create momentum.
Yeah, I think it creates I think it's a psychology of that is, hey, you feel like this is it, this is right. You feel like, and I don't want to use the word fit in,
belong.
because that has negative connotation. Yeah, you belong. That's so much better. Yeah, you feel like you belong, and so then you actually start doing what is required in that arena, because now you feel like you belong.
Right. And you know what? Sometimes feeling like you belong and actually belonging are two different things. You know,
Yeah.
momentum creates that later on for you. And so, you know, we always talk about the uncomfortable zone, but David went to the comfort. Here's what I know. Here's what I know.
Yeah.
And it kind of leads to my fifth point where I say pursue the zone. The zone to me, and I can only explain this in, you know, I like to golf, and the zone for me is this place where things happen so naturally, you don't even have to think about it. You know, they say, hey, just let the swing happen.
Interesting.
Because when you get overthinking, do you remember Karate Kid?
Yeah.
What was his name? Mr.
Miyagi.
Miyagi, you know? Remember what he would say to Ralph Macchio there? He would say, too many minds. Too many minds. You're overthinking instead of allowing in that case, the karate or whatever, you know, to happen.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And Pastor Mo, when you're in momentum, you get into this zone. It just seems to happen. It's in our preaching.
Yeah.
It's in our communicating.
Yeah.
It could be in our studying. I want you to talk about your zones a little bit.
I think it's when what feels unnatural to others feels natural to you.
Right.
You just, it's like, it just feels natural. It feels organic. It feels authentic. And it's kind of where, in the realm of preaching, it's where you kind of, you forget that you're actually on the stage.
Right.
Right. It's in sports, it's you forget, hey, there's all these other things around you. I don't like using this wording, but because it sounds mystical, but you become one with it.
Right.
And I hope
people understand.
Yeah, people understand what I'm trying to say.
Right.
You become one with it. It's like it becomes an extension of you rather than something you're trying to figure out and do.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's, as much as it's intangible, it's a real thing, because people will say, "Oh, I'm in the zone."
Right.
They literally feel it.
Yeah.
They know. There's an affirmation within you. I know that I'm in the zone, and momentum just happens. All right, here's number 6. Pursue the compound effect. The compound effect. So in other words, how does momentum build on itself? I really believe this is the power of consistency.
Right.
The power of consistency is that compound effect, that when I'm doing things in the right direction, in the right vision, as I'm in that zone and I am consistent, and maybe we could do a power of consistency from a leadership perspective, but that just seems to compound in a good way.
Yeah.
You know, we talk about compound interest, bad thing, but this idea of compound momentum, in other words, the things that I am now doing is creating more momentum for me, more forward thrust, because why? Because I'm consistently doing the right things.
Yeah, that's good.
What do you think about that?
That's good. I think that's incredibly important, because you build on, you have to build on what you did yesterday, today. And that has to grow. Which also tells me you can't be doing too many things at once, right?
Wow.
Because how are you going to build? It's going to take forever. You're not going to experience that momentum, because now you're doing a little bit of everything rather than building on what really matters.
So now you're talking about, hey, am I focusing on the things that really matter?
Yeah.
David was very focused.
Yeah.
This is the only thing that matters, and removing this. And by the way, this is my point number 7.
Yeah.
Pursue and kill the killers. Pursue and kill the killers. So Goliath is a killer.
Right.
The Bible tells us that he was a man of war from his youth.
Yep.
And David runs towards him and literally chops off his head.
Yeah.
I mean, this is like John
Wick.
Pre-John Wick, you know what I'm saying? And so David recognizes he's not dead.
Right.
And you know in all those movies where the bad guy gets up and lives to fight another day?
He's so hard to kill,
Yeah, like, like they've died 3 deaths. They fall out of planes and mountains and everything. Well, David says, you're not getting up.
Right.
You're not going to kill my momentum, kill God's momentum, kill the momentum of the nation.
Right.
I'm going to wipe you out. And many times, my brother, people fail to remove the things that are about to kill the momentum. And so every time you have to start and stop, start and stop, start and stop, start and stop.
Yeah.
That's brutal, you know.
Yeah.
Thoughts.
So good. I think it's why give a second chance to a thing that wants to kill you?
Yeah.
You know, that wants to destroy you. Don't give that thing a second chance.
Yeah, you can't negotiate with it.
No.
You can't partner with it. You can't communicate with it.
Yep.
You don't go over there and say, "Hey, are you really dead?" No. Just take care of business.
Take care of it.
And
Yeah.
here's the last one: pursue celebrations.
Oh, I love that.
Pursue celebrations. I mean, we serve the God of festivals.
Yeah.
I really, and you know, we do a lot of it here. We celebrate milestones and whether people have worked here a certain amount of time. I mean, we look for opportunities
Right.
to celebrate people, celebrate events, because there's something about that that creates momentum.
I love it.
Right?
I love it. Yeah, because when you celebrate something, it gives you kind of the affirmation that this thing is worth doing. It's worth pursuing. It's worth redoing, right? When we celebrate it. And so that also creates buy-in, which creates momentum. And so
And
absolutely
morale.
and morale. Yeah. And so God is a God of celebration.
Yeah.
He says there's a celebration in heaven every time one person repents, right? And so it's like God enjoys celebrating what is worth celebrating.
Phenomenal.
Yeah.
Phenomenal. So there you have it. You know, out of the story of David and God. And by the way, we could talk about other stories, but momentum from a leadership perspective is absolutely crucial.
Yeah.
Whether you create it, whether it's ignited for you, at the end of the day, you need to navigate it.
Yeah, so good. So good. Hey, listen, I'm sure you're blessed by this. Maybe you got to watch this again, take some notes of all the good stuff Dr. Tony just brought out. Well, listen, thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate your support on this channel. We're so excited for what God is doing through this program. Hey, if you're not subscribed, please subscribe, like this video, share it with a couple people you know. Comment something below. Tell us what you thought of today's program. Dr. Tony, thank you for your wisdom.
Thank you, sir.
Appreciate you. God bless you. We'll see you next time.